It's the Anfield wrap. Neil Atkinson, Gareth Roberts, Ian Salmon and Paul Senior with you for the next 50 minutes, maybe an hour. We'll see how long we can pick the bones out of that for, how long we can take it, because just get stuck straight into them, really. Liverpool got beat 2-1 by Crystal Palace at home. And Gareth, they were just so flat. I think that's the first thing I'd take from it. Even when they were ahead, I thought they were a little bit flat. Often the proof of the pudding's in the eating with that sort of thing, and that, you know, if they go on and make it 2-0, they can get away with being flat. But it just looked like such a strange 90-minute performance when you look at all of it.
Yeah, well, I remember we had a conversation at half time, and like you were more annoyed with it than I was, because I kind of thought Liverpool haven't been playing that well for a long time for me. Certainly not the sort of the fluid football, the great football that we saw earlier on in the season. And it kind of, you know, feels like we've achieved quite a few results through grinding it. And I kind of thought yesterday would be another one. So for us to have the moment of magic with the free kick, I was made up with that bit, obviously. And then to
uncontroversial view,
you know what I mean? But to concede in the manner we did was so annoying, and especially for it to be Benteke and in the manner it was and everything else. And I don't know, and before that bit happened, and before, you know, the old cliche about that changing the half-time team talk and all that sort of thing, I was relatively happy with it. I thought, not at the best, not fluid, you know, not great, but it was another just win kind of day. And I just thought, if we just win, I'm not that bothered about the performance. You know, Coutinho was looking a bit better and things like that. That was probably the big high point for Liverpool. And you were really concerned at half time, and obviously you were right, mate, because you know, second half was awful. The second half was really, really bad, and you know, the manner of their second goal as well. I'm sure we'll talk about it in a bit of depth in a bit, but you know, it's really hard to take both when I was at the match and when I've watched it back since. I don't know what's going on, and it's. We say all the time on here, you know, you shouldn't, and Klopp's tried to do it a lot as well, about you shouldn't sort of associate things that have happened in the past with this set of players, with this manager. You know, it's different, is what we always say. You know, this is a different time and a different era and a different, you know, manager and set of players. But fuck me, how shit have we been off corners for seemingly forever? And you know, and then you've got Allardyce, you know, crowing about how they identified that as a problem. They knew Liverpool had conceded 6 direct from a corner, now 7. And he said it was something he'd literally coached the players on. And it's like, well, what's happening in reverse? What's happening at Melwood? Why can't Liverpool solve this problem of being a bit crap at defending set pieces and corners? And it is Groundhog Day for fans. And I see a lot of people sort of slaughtering the fans again about getting off early, about it being a poor atmosphere. But we're all human, and it's hard to take. It's really hard to take.
On that, when Gareth says we're all human and it's hard to take around the fans, Paul, I actually thought it felt like the players did a bit of, and now there's this. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think I thought that we were. I actually think you can make a strong argument that everybody connected to the club, the manager, the subs who come on, the players on the pitch. I think everyone is dreadful the last 20. It's very, very difficult. Even the very good players, even the players we know we've got so much skill about them. Yeah, I think the last 20 minutes, after it goes 2-1, I think it's about the worst last 20 I've seen in a while.
Yeah, you're right. There was just a funny feeling around the ground. The minute it turned up, I could feel it, to be honest with you. And then the last 20 minutes, you look at that and there's just nothing about us at all. And I could excuse a Liverpool performance like that if we didn't have a week between fixtures. Because sometimes you can go, well, they're tired, there's this, there's that. It felt like the sort of fixture that the likes of, I don't know, who've got nothing to play for, Stoke, the likes of them would be playing this side of the season. Liverpool play Champions League football once in 7 years. Surely these lads want to be on the top stage. And for me, it just felt like, how can I put it? It felt like they thought that he's already got it. Like that we've been to them 2 hard games, got 6 points. Here we are. We're back in front of our own crowd. We'll piss this. And my dad's always said to me about that Liverpool turn up and win attitude, and I've never really agreed with it. But yesterday it was a bit like cocky. Is that maybe the word?
There was the way in which they played out Ian, the entire game of football, I think, on one level, but especially that period. But in general, it did feel like it had an end of season feel. And that was the thing that even the first 10, 15 minutes, it just seemed like an end of season game. And I think that, and that's a little bit of cleverness from Palace. I think they made it seem a little bit like a nothing fixture. Against Stoke, you could see Liverpool battling. Against West Brom, you had Emre Can as siege weapon, winning his battles all over the pitch. I couldn't actually see where the battle was in that game yesterday, and that's really strange because you'd have thought, well, Palace are desperate to try to stay up. Liverpool want to come top four, and yet it felt like even at one, when Liverpool make it 1-0, it felt like a game with very, very little skin in the game, and that's, to me, that's the strange thing.
Yeah, it's a really odd one. I mean, I wasn't. Obviously, at half-time, I was pissed off about the fact that they'd equalised. Doing it in the 44th minute is always a nightmare time to score. But I still felt we were in the game. I felt confident that we could come back and get a second goal. And I always knew we'd need two because there was always going to be a goal. But that second 45 minutes, I think, I'm struggling to remember a more dispiriting second 45 minutes in my entire life at the moment. I genuinely can't think of anything that I enjoyed less than that. I include the European final last year. We're at that point where we should be looking and going, we've got 5 games as it was yesterday for Champions League qualification. It felt like an end of season game from last season where we're protecting ourselves for the cup. It felt like that. It felt like it was
like the Swansea away game or something.
Kind of thing where nothing really matters, and you're watching as a fan going, I don't know if I can actually be arsed with this game of football. And there seems to be that mood going around. It's kind of like, do we have to do this now? Do we really have to? Can't we just get to the end of the season? But we have still got a top 4 position that we have to fight to win, because you look at him, Paul Joyce was reporting this morning that if we don't end top 4, why would Virgil van Dijk want to come to Anfield? So that story's already circulating in the main media, and we know, we were talking the other week about the way that we assume that Joyce is being briefed on these things. You think, well, is that a briefing again? So there are things that we need to do. We need to qualify top 4 to get the players that we need to improve the squad. And I also think we've got 11 lads on that pitch who look absolutely buggered. And I know you're saying this on the pink, there's no change. They know that there's going to be no change. So they've got 11 lads who look buggered and can't play everything in. But we're playing against, for that first 45, the least Sam Allardyce side I've ever seen, because in that first 45, they're not your typical long ball, kicking everything that moves. They do it in the second half, in the first half.
Yeah, they went long a bit, didn't they? But not as a...
They weren't Allardycean in their approach.
I was trying to speak you from wide.
Players, to be fair.
Yeah. They were playing football. They were actually playing some football. And we didn't know how to contend with the fact that they were sitting back and playing a bit of football. It was as if we'd expected the long ball game and didn't get it. Yeah,
my thing and what Ian was picking up on there about the importance of a strong finish and Van Dijk, all that sort of thing, is I don't want Liverpool to limp to 4th or to 3rd. I want Liverpool to look like the side they've looked for the majority of the season. And obviously we've got our own problems with injuries and whatnot, but who hasn't? The thing for me is I want us to look like the real deal, the side that we were seeing sweeping sides away at the beginning of the season. And don't get me wrong, you can't be that every week, but I don't think we've been that for a long time. And so I wonder where the dips come from, really. We kind of blown ourselves out. What have we played all season? 35, 40 games?
One of the things I've seen throughout the season, Gareth, and I don't think it's been deliberate, but I do actually wonder if it was deliberate on Sunday. I think that this Liverpool side struggles, and certainly without a couple of the players who were missing in the middle of the park, it struggles to set a tempo. I think that we've seen one of the criticisms of Chan, for instance, who's been great recently, so you've got to always say that, But one of the criticisms of Chan has been when it's been, for instance, Plymouth at home, when they just go, we do not care about this game, we're just doing this thing here, and he struggled to be the player on the pitch who ups it and dictates it and goes bang, 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 we're going faster now, boys. I just sort of wonder, when we talk about tactics a lot of the time, we talk about formations and little bits like that. I just almost wondered if there was a bit from Palace there yesterday, almost a different type of tactic, not you mark him, we do this shape today, but more just rope it up them a bit, boys. Just almost go, you know what, don't worry about this one, there's not that much in it, save your legs for the second half, make it see. Maybe I'm looking too much into it, but it seemed to me as though it suited, Palace decided what suits us here is to make the game feel as much like a nothing game as possible. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's certainly the way it played out.
I think they let us get so far though, and then
just like Plymouth.
Yeah, and then they come alive. So edge of the box, if you watch it back as well, you can see any time like a dangerous player has the ball, 3 of them are around them dead
Yeah.
quick, all over them, making it difficult. And that was another sort of point I was taking out of the first half, where I thought, can they keep that going? Can they keep on, swarming around our players in that manner for the second half as well? And obviously the answer is yes. I think they deserve some credit out of all this. By the way,
I think they look like a good. For me, they look like a top 10 side.
Yeah, they looked a decent side, and they've got some good players throughout the team. And I think, as a Liverpool fan, it's easy to just do the Liverpool shite thing, and we should be blowing Palace away. But that's the third season in a run now that they've come to Anfield and got the points, and they have got, Kabai's a decent player,
Really
Zaha's a decent player, Benteke
I thought we
obviously.
dealt with Zaha well yesterday as well.
Yeah.
I
didn't trouble us a
He
great
was the
deal.
one I was worried about coming into the game, and I thought we dealt with him really well. That was my thing. I think maybe through playing this fantasy game we do on Tour Player, been looking at Zaha all season and been thinking, there's a real improvement in him there. I was looking forward to see him, and I thought it was on the other side. I thought Townsend was the bigger threat, to be honest. And I thought Punchin's always busy, isn't he? I think he's always creating chances. But
He's a bit more Allardycean.
Yes, absolutely.
In terms of his threat. But yeah, I mean, it was a strange game, and you're right to say that. I think a lot of people have highlighted Emre Can again, and I almost wonder, is it just Emre Can though, or is it the fact that it's Emre Can, Lucas? You know what I mean? Because
And maybe to a certain extent Wijnaldum. We all think he's had a good season, but again, how many you've seen him
you're
deal?
looking for impetus from him.
Exactly. You've seen him deal with whatever comes at him during the game brilliantly, but how many times have you seen him be the one who for 15 minutes grabs it and says, right now we're doing this? Maybe Chelsea away. There's been a couple in there where he's more sort of guided this team through rocky patches and exploded with a goal than he has sort of gone, right, they're doing this, but this is our solution.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you on that, because I remember Wolves in the FA Cup he played, and I thought he was awful in terms of just, he was getting the ball and he was just laying little passes here and there, and I was like, no mate, you're in the middle, you be responsible.
You're a senior player, yeah.
Take it by the scruff of the neck and that sort of thing, and I thought, there's a few times Chan did try and run it, you know what I mean? There was one where he went on a bit of a mad run and reached the edge of their box, for instance, and so it's obviously in his head. I'll try and do something different here. I'll try and provide impetus. I mean, it's interesting as well that Lucas did an interview in the programme, and he was talking about, his role under Klopp as being centre half or a midfielder that protects the back four. And he said, and Klopp said to him, at times, there's just times in games where I'd like you to be a bit more creative. And he says in the interview, that's something he's trying to work on. But I mean, how old is Lucas? And at what point is he in his career and all that sort of stuff? He's not all of a sudden going to turn back into another player, is what I mean. And so there's a lot of, you're looking to Can and Wijnaldum out of the three we mentioned there, aren't we, to be creative. And were they creative enough? I don't think so. I think as well, the Firmino thing came home to roost a little bit as well. We've all said that he's not as effective if you put him wider, and we saw that. I thought he was virtually anonymous, for a lot of the game. You could see him trying a little bit, and it's coming deeper.
And it doesn't help when Origi's not playing well simultaneously. But then the manager must be looking at it off the bench going, so I'd have to take off someone who I know can score a league goal for me in Origi and bring someone on, like for instance Woodburn, who hasn't.
Has he not swapped them?
Well, it just doesn't seem to happen that often.
I don't understand why not. I mean, Origi, for what I know what Klopp's done to him. He's tried to bulk him up. He's tried to turn him into a number 9. He's tried to stop him playing wide. But
he was not going wide a lot yesterday.
But if it was, but if I didn't see Firmino swapping with him. That's the thing for me. You're struggling to get him behind. You're up against a really compact back four, a good one as well. I thought they looked defensively solid. Mix it up a bit. I didn't see that from the manager yesterday. I've come out of this a little bit going, well, what did you do to change your Klopp? You stood there with your arms folded, shaking your head, or wanting the crowd to do something about it.
The changes he did make, and they were late, seemed to absolutely fucking bamboozle everyone.
Yeah.
They didn't know what they were doing.
As I said to you when I was sitting next to you, every change gave Joel Matip more space, which I can't believe was ever quite the plan. But every change gave Joel Matip 10 more yards to run into. I mean, just to pull it back to the first half, Ian, there is the goal. We scored the goal. It's a great free kick.
It's a lovely free kick.
The goalkeeper makes it maybe a little bit too easy for him, but where he puts it's just phenomenal. But that's where, for me, for instance, there's the lovely little nutmeg ball that Milner puts through, that gets, I think it's Coutinho in, or gets someone in, they would then whip it across the box and there's a chance to make it 2.
Yeah.
And he doesn't make it 2, and in fact, he nearly hits the corner flag. And everyone had a bit of a laugh. I noticed there was all like, oh, it's one of them, because everyone had sort of decided it was going to be a bit easy. And one of my things on this is, again, this was foot on throat time. We were 1-0 up, they're turning up, they know where they are in the league, and they know they've got a game against Spurs at home on Wednesday. They know they've got Burnley at home next weekend. And where my frustration is, and has been at times with this Liverpool side, is in games against these poorer sides, the sides who are in the top 6. When Liverpool go 1-0 up against Spurs, you're just waiting for the second. You're just waiting for that second at home. When Liverpool go 1-0 up against Spurs, you know that the second's coming, and there it is. You never felt like that there against Palace. You never felt like Liverpool were going to absolutely force the issue.
No, I think if the second goes in, and I'll guarantee I wasn't having a laugh.
Just blitz them.
Yeah, I wasn't having a laugh about Chan missing. I thought that was disastrous. Rewatching it again last night, it's not, bizarrely because it's an appalling miss, it's not as bad a miss as I thought, because I thought he had an absolutely open goal when I was sitting in the ground. When I watched it again, there's a couple of players in his way, but it's a terrible, terrible miss. It's easy. It is easier to hit the target than it is to miss at that point. All he's got to do is open his body up and pass it into the net.
It's a lovely move, that as well.
It's a lovely move. It's a fantastic move. I think it is. Is it Wijnaldum on the touchline who puts it through for him? Because he does all the hard work for him. And at that point, that second goes in, we're scoring 5. Because we've got the impetus, we've got the momentum, and there's no way they're coming back into it. We give them that 1-1, we give them the equaliser before half-time, they know they're back into it and they've got something to play for. I also think that the equaliser changes our game plan for the second half in a big way, because we had this really odd shape in the first half. I think we were playing some kind of box in midfield, because no matter who you thought was central, Origi was spending a lot of time drifting out to the left and drifting out to the right. He was on the touchline far more than he was central, so we weren't playing a proper 3 up front. And to pick up on what Paul was saying before, that idea of us swapping or rotating, it's what we were doing at our very best in October, November.
Lots of fluidity, isn't it?
Yeah, we were swapping. We had 4 players swapping those front 3 positions and the guy behind them. And yesterday what we had was Wijnaldum playing further forward than Coutinho for the majority of the first half. Coutinho was dropping and going into midfield. And then you got the point where Firmino was dropping and Coutinho was pushing forward. So there was never an orthodox middle 3 and there was never an orthodox front 3. It wasn't even like an orthodox front 2, because all we had was width. It looked like the idea was the forwards would pull wide and the midfield would push forward. But it never quite worked. And then they get the equaliser, so it's not worked. So we change our game plan when we go to the second half.
Yeah. I can't really make anything of the shape yesterday. I think you've touched on the one thing is the fluidity of it. I just didn't think it was enough. My point on Firmino, he's wasted out wide, and we know that. But it's all right if Origi puts in performances like he has done in a few of the games out the last 5 or whatever. I think one little gripe I've got with this Liverpool side, even when we were putting 6 past Watford, I just didn't think we were ruthless enough. And I think we've touched on it on shows in the past. If you watch that Watford game at home again, how we didn't score more than 6 that day is beyond me. You know, the chances we missed. Oh, absolutely, it should be. That's one of the most one-sided games you'll ever see. And it's all right, you know, we're saying we're laughing at them chances, that chance. It's going to bite us in the arse soon enough. And well, I suppose it has done.
It did, but yesterday,
it has bitten us in the arse. But we can't sustain missing this many chances, because we've come out the game disheartened and stuff like that. But it's not a game where we didn't knock on the door at all. Chan threads a lovely ball through for Firmino.
Yeah.
And I just didn't think we were. Why is he not? That chance there is the one that I've come away and it's really grated on me a little bit. I'm just like, it's a bit like, oh, another one will come. Well, it didn't in the end, you know.
Dirk Kuyt scores that.
Yeah, I think a proper forward scores that, and that's not really me having to go for me. You know, it's just someone a bit grittier, I guess. And Dirk Kuyt may be a great example. Goes for that, and Hennessy drops down to sweep it up, and he's flicked it over his head.
Or under him, one or the other.
Yeah, one or the other.
Forced it over the line.
You've got to make contact there, and it was just a little bit like, it's just slightly overrun. Well, I thought it was a tremendous ball. I think a proper number 9 gets on the end of that.
People will say as well, won't they? Like, and are saying today, I've seen people say that, what are the, top scorers in the league and all that sort of thing, and Anfield seeing the most goals in the league and all that kind of thing. But that's what we're set up to do almost, in it. So like, if you don't take the chances, you can't rely on us defensively to win a game that way. And all right, we've scraped a few, but it almost doesn't seem like it's not what Klopp's about. And it's also, and I never heard this mentioned as much, but I actually think it's not what FSG wants either. Like, so for instance, when Klopp's talking the other day, and he's talking about, I understand in this country that it's all about results a lot more, and that certain grounds you can go to, and you're basically watching shy football every week, and yet the fans turn up because as long as you're getting the results, that's all you care about in England. That's what he essentially said. But I think when FSG have appointed managers, they've always made the point of saying we want them to play attacking, entertaining football. It's like it's on the job description almost, and so
almost like West Ham pride themselves in it, or historically have pride.
And so I almost think you're never going to see, like, certainly under Klopp, I don't think, like, Houllier-esque stuff. It's always going to be like this. All right, we can buy better players and everything else, but you're right to say that we've got to be absolutely ruthless around the edge of the box. And so this is the problem now, isn't it? All right, we know we've got injuries, but I mean, I was bigging up Origi the other week, and I still will defend him to an extent, to say he's a young lad, he's got a long way to go. But I don't know, we're just being undone, haven't we, by the squad. I think we can point to injuries and things like that, but when you've got 4 teenagers on the bench.
I'll go to Ian first on this. When the second half we get to 60 and it feels like we're building momentum, and it feels like it's on the cards here, and this is where, to use an example, away at Stoke, when we've built the momentum, Sturridge comes on, and it felt he's done the double change at half time. It's just began to dissipate a little bit, and then he brings Sturridge on, and suddenly everyone gets a new lease of life for 5 minutes. But 5 minutes is all it takes, and Liverpool scored 2 goals. Where I do feel sorry for the manager in this one, Ian, with reference to the squad, though, you can say you feel sorry for him, but he's had 2 transfer windows this season and bought the players he's bought. But what I mean is, on the day there, is he probably more than anything on 60 wants to change it. Wants to just make a change, and he turns around and he looks and he's got nothing. But that's the moment where the momentum for Liverpool, I was thinking it's coming here, and somewhere between 60 and 70 it gets completely lost, because by the time they score, I'm not going to say their goal was coming, but it was certainly looking like they had something in the game.
Yeah, and you knew that if they got a set piece, then the set piece was going to undo us, and as soon as they got that set piece, you could predict that goal going in.
That must have hurt that. Who was that? That was Neil. Neil just really banged his knee.
That was. The screaming is silent.
I am in a world of pain.
It's quite impressive that you're very silent about it, though. That's professionalism.
A pro, Ian. Pro.
Don't get this on 5 Live.
No.
Yeah. They have padded tables there, none of your shite. Go on, Ian.
That's it, what you need, cushions underneath these. I was talking about something, wasn't I?
The bench.
This is, you could see that goal was coming. You could see that the set piece goal was coming. And at 60 minutes, you need the change. There's literally no one. And we know, to pick up on what Gareth was saying, their first goal were exploited in the gap between the left centre-back and the left-back again. And we've said on so many shows, we're going to be exploited in that area. We're always going to get caught out. The lad next to me is about 65. But he was sitting there saying, well, we've been caught out there. And it's kind of like, well, we will be, because he's like, we need a proper left-back. You do. But that left-back is going to be playing where Milner's playing anyway. He might be a bit quicker getting back, but this is the shape we're going to play. We're going to play with a left-back who is joining the midfield. Same as a right-back who's joining the midfield. This is the way we're playing. That's not going to get changed. And occasionally we will get caught out in that position.
Allardyce talked about that as well afterwards.
It's not hard to spot. It's not like, Big Sam is portraying himself as some tactical genius because he spotted the gap between the left centre-back and the left-back, and because he's noticed that we're shit at corners. Cheers, Sam. I can do your job. Give me your salary.
Got a boss stat on the bench, by the way. Can I throw it in?
Give us the stat.
Can I throw it in? Our bench yesterday had 73 Premier League starts between them all. Moreno was 56 of them. And then Palace's had 611 Premier League starts on their bench.
Yeah.
So that's unreal. They're more, and obviously we've been devastated by injuries. And
We had 3 lads who can't vote in the general election.
yeah, that's appalling. And it should have been the game where you're looking at going in 3-0 and saying, right, okay, we're going to stick Ryan Brewster on and give him a little taste of what the game's about now. And that's the game that you should be doing that. But he's not there as an opportunity. He's there because there's literally no other bugger that can play there at the moment. And we've been looking all season, do we need a number 9? No, we need 3 number 9s. We need someone to replace Sturridge, because as much as Sturridge looked great when he came on the other week, he's injured again immediately.
Well, yeah. What we need is difference makers, don't we? Because
we need somebody who can change the game in some way. And there was nobody who was experienced enough to change the game there at that point. And the players that would change the game were already on there and were suffering because they had nobody to play. So for me, Origi's never going to be the answer, because you can't consistently tell what he's going to do in any given game.
No.
You don't know what his game is. He can do something incredible and then do nothing for 89 minutes. Or he can have a decent game every so often. But most of the season, even when he had that run of 5 goals in 5 games, he was contributing nothing else to the team at all. So I think he's the easiest person to upgrade, but we're going to have to upgrade 3 players at the front, because obviously Ings isn't coming back. You can't see Sturridge coming back. We need
someone else with pace as
we
well.
Need somebody with pace.
Where Mane's not about, because he's a huge miss.
Truthfully, I felt like I'm not the biggest fan in the world, but I thought Moreno at least added that.
Yeah.
The other times we sort of got them square, and he was on because he was literally quick. And my thing on the depth is I don't know, that transfer window we had in the summer, for me, with the weight he holds at the moment in this club, Klopp can't make a profit. Yeah, and it is hurting us a little bit. My thing is that we were arguing in our contributors group a little bit yesterday. Someone is down to like man number 27 in the squad, but I think 12 to 18 haven't been good enough all year. Truth be told, I think
Woodburn and Alexander Arnold have been on a bench.
Far too much.
I haven't got the numbers, but a lot. And I'm far too much, like you both say, and yesterday you're almost telling yourself when you're seeing Trent warming up, come on Trent lad, you know what I mean, but then take a step back and ask what you're asking from a very young lad with limited experience. It's mad.
Who also were trying to turn into a right back. I mean, one of my things about yesterday is
progression as well.
It's absolutely. I'm not. I don't know about that. I think it's mad Lucas finishes the game on the pitch. I think it's absolutely wild that Lucas finishes the game on the pitch. I think the idea, I'm all for, and could have made an argument on 60, do Moreno and move Milner into centre mid, and just have one more lad in the middle of the pitch who you think is going to kick it in the goal. As basic, and I know that's basic, and I know if Jurgen Klopp's listening to this, he's laughing his head off at how basic I am. But one more lad in the middle of the pitch who you think could just pop up, can make a third man run, can do, and use them more as a bit of a midfield 3. And this isn't, it's not being wise after the event. I just think you get the pace then on that left hand side, and you've got someone else who can offer something through there. But this is, it's back to though. That bench has just got to be better, and that throws you back to, but let's not act as though simultaneously the manager's been parachuted into this position. He's had 2 transfer windows, and that then turns it into a conversation about, you might not like your numbers and your options, but you sold Alan and Benteke, and you didn't. No one put a gun to your head. You didn't have to. It might be that, for instance, there's a dressing room issue or something like that. I think often we talk about transfer windows, Gareth, only as, and it'll be the same this summer. We talk about them only in terms of ins, and we say, was it a good window or wasn't it? Because we bought this lad and bought this lad. A lot of the time, one of your decisions you've got to make is who's going, and whether or not you get that right. And I don't know. I sort of still think we could have had at least one more in this squad, and it might have made a difference and had a knock-on effect where maybe now we had a couple more available as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's been an over-reliance on the youth. Perhaps they thought they were a little bit better than they turned out to be, or I don't know. I mean, but we're obviously doing it with hindsight, and that's the easiest thing to do. But yeah, I mean, everything points to that. And I just hope at some point they kind of learn the lessons, because the other thing I'd say is that it feels again under FSG that there's been a January transfer window where they could have took a bit of a risk, just go and look how well we're doing, look where we are, look at this as an opportunity. Instead, it was risk averse, and then.
But supposedly that's the manager, though. To be fair, Gareth, that's every year it is that's the man. But maybe there needs to be someone there saying to him, "No, do something."
Yeah, do something.
Do we know for sure that we were risk averse? Do we know when we went into rail with the Asensio offer? Because we went to rail with an Asensio offer of 50 million euros apparently, but when did we do it? No one said. There's no date of when. Did we do it the week before last, or did we do it on the first day of the January transfer window? We don't know. He's saying that the players aren't there available to improve. maybe that was the player he was looking at.
I think if you go back to January though,
there was no noise on that.
There was no
noise on that.
But also as well, just sort of.
But the Dembele story didn't break for about 3 months, did it?
How the manager acted though, and what he was saying, and that sort of thing. I thought his demeanour and the things he was saying changed through that month, and towards the end, the lines out of his mouth was basically, we know we need more players, and he didn't get them. So it was like, well, what's going on here? Do you know what I mean? And you know,
at that point we start getting the injuries, don't we? Because we not only have Mane away, we have the injuries as well. Because we're looking at the squad in October when we were having the conversation about the squad. We're looking at it and going, that first 11 is excellent. Look how good the bench is. Danny Ings can't even get into this first 18. This lad's coming back, and he's our third striker, and he can't even get into the 18 because we looked so comfortable with what we had at the time.
You've got to be real about this, though. I think you've known that arguably 3 of your strikers there
are injury prone. So with Ings and Sturridge, you know
Mane's going to the Club of Nations.
You know he's going to, if it wasn't obvious that when you took that Mane was the key man in that side from August to December the 31st, then I don't know what is obvious. The thing for me is, if you've known you've got that problem, and we are threadbare in attack with it pretty much regularly, why haven't we gone to change it? You can't always get your top target. Rafa Benitez must have had about 20 left backs in the time he was at Liverpool. You can't always do it. But you can't just go, well, we'll get one next season and sacrifice this. How long can you do that for? Because essentially, I feel that we always go, that'll do. We'll get by on that. Pedro, I don't think he's been a regular starter for Chelsea from the day he signed him.
I don't think it's that'll do. I think that it's a genuine decision. I don't think, for instance, we made used the Benteke one as an example. What literally in terms of everything, what difference would it have made if Benteke had done one more year at Liverpool? But I think the manager wants to say, no, this is the way.
It would be a 30 million net spend, and that's it.
And it'd also be 30 million next summer, because he'll still be worth 30 million.
Yeah.
He's not going to decline any more in value. And one of the things I think the manager's like, no, we're going to play my way. This is the way in which we're going to play. And again, this is back. It's important to say, all managers, there's ups and downs with them, the strengths and weaknesses.
Which holds value for me as well.
Yes, but I think that, a big one for me on that is, for instance, you look at what Fellaini's done for United this year, and people don't like this sort of talk because it's not the football you want to see. But it suits Mourinho down to the ground, because not only did Mourinho not buy him, but Van Gaal didn't buy him. It was the fella before that who bought him. Fellaini's about to complete his 4th season at United. But Mourinho gets to come in and go, well, I'll just use him here and there. And it felt like with Klopp, like it's felt in general like every single Liverpool manager I can think of has had to sell someone who might actually, broadly speaking, have just been useful. But they've almost chosen to do it, to say, no, this is the way in which I'm going to play. Rather than go, well, this might be a sort of fella who's good to have around the gaff, and yeah, he's on a bit of wedge, but we just cop for it, at least for one more season. I have another little look. And it was clear from February that Benteke was going last season. And I just sort of wonder at times whether or not, and I know I'm boring on this, but whether or not you're better. As a club, and I include Benitez in this, I'm going right the way back to 2005. I don't know, I think we sold people early and quick. Genuinely. And I don't even think there's any economic advantage for us in it. Like, for instance, if we get...
I always say that because it kept Crouchy for longer.
Yeah, that he's a really good example. And I think that's...
Mourinho on Welbeck and Chicharito and all, there's no way I'd have sold them. Why aren't they still at the club? And he's absolutely right. You're right in what you're saying about Benteke. There's a plan. Where's our plan B? And that's it. Every manager's got to have one, and United's is Fellaini.
It shouldn't be Matip up front.
No, it's not. Stephen Corker last season. It's just not right.
I don't even think you need a plan B. You just need to do plan A with other people. Genuinely, just keep doing what you do and just say, well, we're going to do this, and he's going to do this bit less well. But suddenly, when we are banging across him because it suits us, well, we've got this lad. What that means is they won't let us put crosses in, because they won't go. If you're Crystal Palace yesterday and Benteke plays for us and not for them, what you're actually starting to do is go and don't let them cross it, because they've got this lad. Don't let them cross it. Perfectly valid, because we don't really want to cross it. And that's the thing that, when I talk about getting in someone who can carry that sort of threat, it's not particularly because I think that you will suddenly score a ton of headers. It changes behaviours.
Isn't this also why, as well, what you're talking about here? Isn't this why we keep seeing Milner and Klein on the other side getting slaughtered all the time?
Oh, honestly, the number of times Nathaniel Klein's got no one to pick out.
That's what I was just going to say, because they're getting slaughtered all the time about the balls they're putting in and the balls they're picking out. But when you're playing like a Grock centre halves, and all right, Origi's decent in the air, but he's not amazing, is he? He's not the level of Benteke, for instance.
And he's generally not in the right place anyway.
And there's that. So it almost feels to me that quite a lot of sides are happy for Klein and Milner to have the ball, knowing their limitations and knowing also that there's no one for them to pick out, and yet they get slaughtered for that. Whereas if you do have the big man around, and it's easier to pick him out.
But also,
you know
just creates, because what means is someone closes down. So, you, for instance, look at the move that we pull where Milner actually gets Wijnaldum in, he pulls it back to Chan. That move happens because they decide they've got to come and close Milner down. He closes Milner down, he plays a lovely little ball through the lad's legs. There's Wijnaldum, blah, blah, blah. You've pulled someone out and created space and someone else has filled it. That's all it is. For me, that's all. That's the reason why, I don't care if you want to call it a plan B. Forget the idea of even hitting whoever this fella is. But one of the issues becomes, well, someone's paid 30 million quid for him, so you've got to use him and blah, blah, blah. Whereas the Fellaini thing, I think, for Mourinho is, it's not even getting rid of the last fellas, man. It's the fellas before. So, well, I won't even worry about it then.
But also United as well. Like I've mentioned this before, but it annoys me. Like United are allowed to have, in the bigger picture of the football world, this big squad with people kicking around, people who aren't playing every week.
Mkhitaryan barely kicking it. No one talks about it now.
No one's asked. And whereas when it's us, it's like, oh well, this fella's not getting a game, so he's unhappy, and we can't do that. And even Klopp himself has done it several times, where he's like, you know, you can't sort of keep everyone happy and all this. Well, what's everyone else doing? Because they've got much bigger. You know, well, not everyone else, but United have got a much bigger squad. No one gives a fuck about that.
Nolito might be dead. You know what I mean? No one cares. No one's talking at Man City.
Chelsea as well, who barely gets a game.
Well, he suddenly plays in an FA Cup semi-final, being fair, but yet he's barely played a minute of league football. And no one's going, that's a £35 million flop. He's just turning up to training.
Yeah, and apparently he's quite sound on Twitter, so everyone's happy.
Yeah.
Will.i.am goes from being first choice to being a bit part player. Nobody knows what the hell happened to Gundogan. He could be injured.
He's very injured. He's very injured, to be fair, Ian.
If that case, other people do, I just don't.
Yeah, he's very injured. Whereas Nolito is a great example, someone who plays the first 15 games of the season, and as I say,
disappears.
Honestly, he might just be doing babysitting for a few of the lads at this stage and drawing a wage. But I agree with that. I think this is one thing for next season is that, if anything, that's what I want to see. I want to hear that Liverpool's third choice centre forward, who we've paid X amount of money for, or even if we haven't, is unhappy. Great, let him be unhappy. We haven't had a squad.
Two lads will be doing well then, surely, wouldn't it?
The last time we had a squad where you felt that was the case was the Hoolay treble season sort of era squad, where every other week you'd find out that Fowler or Owen or Heskey was upset. And I just think to myself, great, but they should all want to play. Whereas you look at us at the minute, and I think for years, you know, I just want that squad. I just want to be able to go, yeah, that's fine. We're gonna have 20 lads, and someone might not feature until February, and then he's going to play for the last 3 months.
And that was the thing as well in that 2001 squad. We were all saying to each other, "Wow, this is a strong squad we've got now." You know what I mean? There's options, and like, you know, they were all
options.
They were all.
We want stuff, isn't it?
But those unhappy people were coming in and scoring goals as well. Fowler scores in the League Cup final. Fowler scores in Dortmund.
Danny Murphy. You wouldn't have called Danny Murphy a starter in that side. He gets 10.
Yeah.
As an example, I mean, quite the sideways move there. Treble DVD, if you haven't seen it, it's fabulous.
It is, boss.
Give it a go.
But you hear lads like Joe. You flip this and you go, when things are going well. I heard an interview with John Terry about 4 or 5 months ago. Chelsea were winning every single week, and he went, "I hope I don't kick a ball again this season, because that means things have gone well." And I think a lot of good professionals will feel that way. Well, they'll understand. I'm not getting a game at the moment. But we're winning, so what can I do? What can I say? If you're losing every week and you're not getting a game, it's a different conversation. But if things are going well,
well, we've got more. We're going to have more games, aren't we? Hopefully,
we're definitely going to have more games.
We're going to have
Europa League
or the other, or Europa League or Champions League. Either way, more games. So he's got. I just hope he's learned his lesson, because the thing that slightly worries me now when we're talking about sort of, you know, football world and the way it works and all the rest of it is, I think, when Klopp starts next season, all of a sudden it won't be... The argument's been, this is his first full season. I think when he starts next one, it'll be, he's been here 3 years. That first season, that was most of the season, will suddenly start counting as a full one in people's minds. I think if things go wrong next season, you'll see the full ton of brick shit that you get from the media, you know what I mean? And from some sections of the fans, to be fair. I'm starting to see that already, to be honest. A little bits here and there. He's clueless. He doesn't know how to do this. He doesn't know how to that. He's overrated. He's this, he's that. And it's like, fucking hell, it's early for this.
I just think honestly think he just needs to make sure he's got subs. And that sounds really basic, but he just needs to make sure he's got subs.
I think he loved making the subs at Stoke, didn't he?
Yeah.
Rodgers used to harp on about being able to change the game from the bench. And, you know, he says he used to turn around and go, what can I do there? And he's right where... even if it is someone like a Fellaini, but at least it's an option. And I'd like to think that maybe in Grujic or that type of lad that we've been unlucky with his injury as well, and you've reserved
there's been a lot of injuries, but I think it's also worth pointing out that a few of these lads have had injuries. I'm not expecting next season, for instance, I'm not expecting 9 months of unbroken football from Philip Coutinho ever. I'm just not expecting that. I might get that from Firmino, but I'm not expecting that from Coutinho, because all you can go on is his previous behaviour. Henderson was out last season long term with an injury problem. He's got one now. Lallana has spent a lot of his time being a bit in and out. I'm fine with it. But what you can't do, Ian, is go, well, it's not going to happen to us. It's not going to happen this time.
You've got to have the option. You've got to have. But I think we've been unfortunate with the options as well. Even no matter how,
like Danny Ings.
Yeah, Danny Ings is the obvious one, and also, but Ojo. This time last year we're looking at Ojo as being a glimmer of hope of somebody that could go forward, and he gets the injury, and then for whatever's happened behind the scenes, he disappears again. Ajaria was in favour. He gets the injury that ends the season for him. Yeah, it's the lads that he was going to use as...
Kev Stewart hasn't turned out to be what he thought.
A year ago, we thought he was going to be a great squad player. At the beginning of the season, he wouldn't sell him. January, he wouldn't sell him because he was going to be a great squad player. Yes, I don't even know if Stewart's injured or if he's just completely out of
I think he just bombed him. I don't think he's as good as he thought.
Yesterday is the day you would think Stewart would be on the bench. That would be the lad that you would go, okay, well, he's there as the backup for Lucas. We're down to the bare bones, but this is the lad that's backing up the lad who's backing up the lad that we would rather have there. But I think, again, to go back to October, November, we had the 18 lads, we had Ings who couldn't get in, Ojo couldn't get in, Ajaria couldn't get in, and suddenly we looked like we had 3 or 4 down from the 18 that were good lads who could come down to the bench who'd be promising, because you can only use 3 of the 7 anyway. So, you're always looking at going, well, we've always got 3 good options. The amount of injuries we've had is unreal, and although possibly not as bad as United's injury crisis, they could probably point to their bench and go, well, our injury crisis has actually been much worse than yours.
I disagree on that, to be honest.
Look, across the course of the season, I think I disagree with that. But right now, it's not.
But right now, they're in a worse position than we are.
And they've got harder games.
But yeah, they have. But they're bringing in Rashford, Rooney, and Martial. We've got Ryan Brewster on the bench. This in what situation there yesterday was Ryan Brewster going to come on? 5-0.
Not as a gear change.
No,
and that's the
never.
thing. And that's
he's there for the last 10 minutes.
Never.
We miss a gear change both sort of, I think, at times in the way in which we play, but also I think we just miss a gear change from the bench. And again, you can sort of wonder whether or not you needed to absolutely shift everybody on. But anyway, the other thing that annoys me at the minute, as we're really cutting loose here and slaughtering people, Gareth. The other thing that annoys me at the minute is I'd include Swansea in it, is that we got back to 2-2. We got ahead in the home game and we didn't see it out. And Lovren's crap. I mean, you can deconstruct whatever you want. I think 3 of the back 4 aren't brilliant for the opening goal, for the equaliser. I think that Matip, I'm not quite sure where he's starting from. Klein took his position from Matip, so he's even more took himself out of the game. Lovren has decided, I don't know where he thinks he's going to win that ball, and then he gets weirdly outpaced by Kabaya, who doesn't have a ton of pace.
Yeah. He tries to go, I don't know what he's doing, he tries to go and win it early, I think.
I think he thinks it's there to be won early, and it just never is.
No, and then he's gone, and then the ball's whipped in, and it's a goal. It's in the back of the net. But yeah, both goals when you deconstruct them just look awful and look like really poor defending, and the set piece thing as well. I mean, it's so obvious, but everyone knows the threat of Benteke, but then to allow him to basically go down on his knees and nod it in is absolutely ridiculous. And I just don't know what's going on there. I don't know why Emre Can's such tight with him, pushing him almost, and then just lets him go. And he stood standing there, and then Lovren sort of half-assed throws a leg out, but he hasn't predicted it either. Whatever they're working on, whatever that situation I'm picking up is, it's not. It's fucked. It's not right. It's not working. And
there's even Firmino's little flick. Firmino's your first man. He should be putting in a better challenge. He just kind of flicks a leg out at it. He should do better than that in the first place.
They don't seem absolutely. I mean, Klopp's talked about concentration before, and he celebrated the concentration at West Brom. Well, I'm guessing when they go over the videos on this one, it'll be quite the opposite, because it seems like they were mentally switched off again. But on Lovren as well, I mean, there's continual debate on Lovren. I think overall he's had a better season than we've seen. But I think my big problem with him, and I think for a lot of Liverpool fans, is I don't trust him. To be honest, I just don't trust him. Not in the way when you watch the defender, or when you watch the defensive partnership, like for instance Hippier and Henshaw, you trusted it. And every game you played, you thought, these are two lads who can defend. They know what they're doing. They know what each other's doing. It's a great partner. And Liverpool haven't had a partnership all season. And I think Lovren and Matip was probably the best one. And people were slightly starting to celebrate it, saying this looks the most solid.
Unbeaten till yesterday with them two.
And then we have that kind of performance from the pair of them. And you're like, feel like we're a bit back at square one here again. And like Lovren just does mad things. He just seems to have a lot of brain farts for me for a centre half. Like the one he steps out to try and win and he has no chance of. Like when he's just blamming it in the air at times as well.
Him and Mignolet both have mental flaws.
Yeah, I think so.
They've both got all the ability in the world. But sometimes it goes in their head. And I think that was Lovren's yesterday. I think Lovren's our best centre half, truth be told. Yes, but going back to where we were with that first goal, I played football at an all right level as a kid, and I'm sorry if there's one lad that's got the what's the word, the prowess that Benteke's got in them situations, you don't let him just walk past you. No. You don't go. The system says that I stand still when there's no one in front of you, and Chan lets him go. Now, I'm sorry, you've got to take provisions for someone like Benteke. Everyone, but no matter how much football you watch yesterday, you'll go, he's a threat in that box. Chan can't just let him go past him.
There's nothing special to score both goals. There's nothing special.
But who has the time at any all right level of football to bend down and get purchase on a ball that's not got any real pace on it? You just don't get that at any decent level of football. And for him to have that amount of time is absolutely pathetic. And I'm sorry, I've got to look at the manager a little bit. You can't not go, someone do us a favour, lads, just pick up Benteke. It's quite simple. All right, well, zonal mark to an extent, but you know what? They're going to put the ball to him. Someone just deal with him in any way. And that's, I don't really care whether your man mark or do it zonally, but I just think when you've got a threat, an obvious threat, whether it's Gareth McCauley, Christian Benteke, Tim Cahill, whoever it is, just make some fucking plans for him.
But also as well, you can take it, can't you? If that was a goal where the corners come in and there's someone jumping as high as they physically can jump,
and he's just beat them,
beat them in the air, and you've gone, all right.
That's just good, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we very rarely concede that corner.
Bend and head. How do you get that much time at that level? You told us the fastest league in the world and all that. Well, he had all day. He probably could have took a touch, if you truth be told. It's absolutely pathetic.
But the corner shouldn't even happen. The corner happens because Lovren makes that bizarre decision that he's going to head the ball 2 feet off the ground, nearly gets kicked in the head, puts himself out of the game for a minute. Milner has to put the ball out because there's no cover in central defender.
Kabai's turn of pace there. If I'm going to try and play fair, I think he's got a little bit caught out.
I thought Cabaye was dead clever. I think Cabaye's second half, I'm probably not going to do the review show, so it's something that I wanted to pick up on. I think first and second half, I think they're really clever how they use him because they've got great shape. They've got great shape, Palace, all the way through the game. Everyone knows the job. And it felt as though whether or not every period of time, Cabaye just get 5 minutes with a free roll. 5 minutes, he started the second half basically playing up front alongside Benteke, and just to go and do bits and disrupt what Liverpool are about, and then nearly scores, and then when it begins to seem as though we've got a grip of what it is he's doing, he then dropped back into midfield and he's shoring it up and he's doing his job, and then around the time of that goal, he has another 5 minutes where he's just basically got the run of the park. He can go and you get the impression they're almost playing 4-4-1 Cabaye at that point, and he can go wherever he wants and see what he can do in the second half. And it's crazy to actually think about where he is, because you would have thought the way in which they normally line up Palace, that Punchin is the one who's deemed the more attacking of the midfield options. Cabaye, for instance, when he was at Newcastle, he played centre mid in a 4-4-2, all that sort of stuff. Whereas it just seemed I thought they were really clever with how they used them. And it goes back to what you said before, that they're actually a decent side. They've won at Stamford Bridge recently. They've beaten Arsenal. It'll be no battle of laughs for Spurs going there on Wednesday night. I saw that Tony Barrett tweeted something about one of the key things you can take from Palace's performance against Liverpool is how shit Pardew's been, because I just think that they're a good side with good players.
Yeah.
Right the way through there, there's a player who that you can make an argument for almost every single one of their players at the very least being a squad player in a side that's in the top six, which you probably can struggle. You probably can't do that for instance, Burnley, Bournemouth, Swansea. I'm not saying starter, but a squad player in a top six side. And and again, it's worth giving them massive credit for the way in which they saw the game out and the intelligence.
They're a side where do you know where we're talking about FSG and not showing ambition? They've punched above their weight a little bit, Palace, in terms of the deals they've done. And I really sympathised with, is it Steve Parish, is it their chairman, who I think has done loads for that club. And then it's not even strength 1 to 11. They're bringing decent lads off their bench as well. So you go, that's the side there. Without Sacco yesterday, you go, all right, they're relegation battlers.
No Sacco, no Scott Dan.
No, and the centre-halves are great. They're good at that level. I think Neil's absolutely right. There's a lot of lads there who, I think they've signed lads who haven't quite worked out. I think Benteke is obviously the obvious example, is who've moved to big clubs because they've got obvious ability. Cabaye, how Scott Dan's not played at a higher level still beyond me.
The win yesterday's put them 12th, and I think there's every chance they finish top 10. And there's every chance they still finish 10th, and that's where it's where they should be. I know it's a funny league this season, but they're the best side on that.
And the manager and the fans, by the way, we're all saying how improved Martin Kelly is, just to do anything wrong. Yeah, just to be a little bit more depressing.
Maybe another example of a lad where you could have gone, could you have kept him around the club? Because
would you have done a job?
Well, if he can do a job for Palace there, yes.
Is he better than Clavan?
There's an argument, isn't there?
Okay. Top 4 then. We'll know a lot more by Monday, Gareth. I think this is important. I think one of the things to say is I remember again a tweet, Rory Smith said it's a battle, it's a race to get to 73 points. And we're currently on 66. If we're 3 wins from the last 4 away from there will be a way in which we can't finish in the top 4 if we get 75 points, but it'll need a lot of mathematical jiggery-pokery in certain results. You know what I mean? If we win 3 of the last 4, we should. Nothing's finished yesterday, is what I'm saying. It was just such a massive missed opportunity to turn those games in hand into looking like a mountain that's really hard to climb, rather than an opportunity to haul Liverpool in.
Yeah, it's just the way it's all fell, isn't it? And it just felt a real blow. And then when you look at the league table after a match like you do, and you see all those games in hand, and you do the maths. But a lot of the maths doesn't make sense, if you know what I mean. If you've just done the maths off looking at games in hand, you haven't actually looked at the fixtures and gone, well, hang on. The Mancs are playing each other, for instance.
So that someone's got to drop points.
They can't both win. I think
there's talk the FA are trying to find a scenario where they can.
Do United also play Arsenal?
United have got to play Arsenal. United have got to go to Arsenal and Spurs and Man City. They're their 3 aways.
So that's a difficult run in. Whereas ours, as we've said all along, doesn't look difficult.
And Southampton, they've got to go to Southampton as well.
Yeah, and Borough looked absolutely awful, by the way, at the weekend, and was just sort of letting Bournemouth score. So hopefully they'll do that for us. That'd be nice. But yeah, I mean, I kind of think that we can still pull it round, we can still win, and we can still get in that top 4. And there's a big cloud of depression about how yesterday went. I think because it's Palace as well. Now Palace is turning into a real proper, full-on bogey side for Liverpool again. And there's obviously the history that goes with that as well. And I think that in itself is a bit depressing as well. But yeah, we just got to pick ourselves up. I mean, I can't decide whether it's a good or a bad thing that we've got so long to wait until Watford.
Well, what it means, Ian, I'll go over to you on this. What it actually means is that Arsenal, City and United will all have played 2 games. And that, what that does, I mean, you pull the face, Paul, but at least we'll know, if you know what I mean, rather than the current scenario.
I was more sympathising with them.
Yeah.
And the predicament they're in. And this is maybe why I'm so annoyed today. I'm normally quite level-headed, but I just think to myself, I think I was looking last week when we were going to West Brom, the minimum gap you've got before a fixture here is 6 days. There can be no excuses. So that wasn't that.
But Ian, they'll both have played. So all 3 of those sides will have played 2 games. As Gareth says, they can't both win when it's City playing United. I think I'm right in saying that Arsenal have got Leicester. They've got Leicester at home on Wednesday night, which won't be easy because Leicester themselves could actually just do with getting 3 points now, given what's going on underneath them. It is going to be, I'm not saying it's going to be an absolute, it's going to be really, really straightforward, but basically Arsenal's next 2. United's next 2 sees them play Swansea, but before then play Manchester City away. Arsenal's next 2 sees them play Leicester at home, but then go to Spurs for the North London derby. My point here is that we can be looking at, we can get into a situation where Watford can look like another opportunity. We just can't turn it down. No. We've got to get 3 points at Vicarage Road.
We've basically got to get all 12. We've got to get all 12 remaining points. It's completely in our hands. I'll be happier if I get to the end of Thursday night and City United have drawn. I'll feel more comfortable with a draw rather than either of them losing points. I'll feel more comfortable with a draw.
You've almost got to feel like, well, at least they're both dropping 2 points there. Yeah. We just need maximum chances from
psychologically, it
whoever,
probably makes no sense at all, but I will feel comfortable with that. That'll assure me, because everybody that's involved has still got to play. Teams who've got something to play for at either end of the table, so there are still points to be dropped all over the place. The draw would make me think, yeah, they're capable of dropping points, but we got to win all 4 games. We have no excuse anymore. Losing against Palace meant that we have to win all 4 to be sure of anything.
Yeah, I'd like to think by the time we come into one of them fixtures that Middlesbrough won't have to be putting in a fight on the last day. That's sort of something I could do without. I do agree though. I think if we win all 4, is it still? It's not mathematically in our hands now, is it?
No, it is. It is. We win all 4. Yeah,
we win all 4. I think, goal difference and stuff like that. I don't want to having to be sweat on these sorts of things. It would have been lovely to have won there yesterday. Them 3 fixtures out of the last 7. I thought them 3 looked the hardest. I don't think Southampton.
Would you have took, just out of interest, and I know it's the way in which you come.
Would you have took 6 from them 9?
Would you have took 6 from them 9?
Probably. Truth be told, and that's why I think that's another reason I'm so disappointed, because I felt like the 2 hard gigs we had with the previous 2. That being said, 6 from 9, maybe would have.
Only if it had been one of the away ones where we dropped the points. We shouldn't be dropping 3 points like that at home.
There is such thing, I think, in football as a bogey side, though, isn't there? And they've won for 3 years on the bounce at Anfield, so I wasn't coming in there that confident yesterday, but only because of previous transgressions. That being said, I thought this Liverpool side had sort of started putting that sort of thing to bed. And I think, how can I put it? Stuff like this happens in football, and we can jump into it all we want. It's disappointing, but I don't think any Sam Allardyce side ever has just rolled over, has it?
It's important to nail Watford next for Liverpool. Going to be loads and loads of stuff on the Anfield app about that coming across the week. Going to be all sorts of stuff looking at what's happening at the club. There's AFQ football. There's also a phone in for subscribers as well. So if you would like to subscribe, theanfieldapp.com/subscribe. A huge thank you to Paul, Ian and Gareth for taking the time today. I know no one wants to come and do this show after Liverpool have got beaten home. I absolutely know it. So very
I was
kind
like,
of them
you
to do so.
bastard, I haven't been on this for ages and he's put me on this one. Okay, now.
It was all decided last week, mate. It was all decided last week. But yeah, it does at times feel a bit moody. But anyway, huge thank you to them. Thank you very much for you to listening. Theanfieldapp.com for all the other stuff that you need, writing, podcasts, everything you want. Up the Reds, Vicarage Road or bust.